Hey everyone, Simsy Claire here and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. Today we're here in Sulani building a house inspired by a picture I found on Pinterest. That picture's in the top left hand corner of the screen if you're interested. I really wanted to build this house here because I could just see it nestled into the mountainside of Sulani with the green grass going around it, especially with that palm tree out in the front. So I really wanted to try and replicate that here in the game. Now, I didn't realize how small this house was going to be because in the picture it looks like it could fit almost like a family. So I had initially intended it to be for two Sims, an elderly couple, and maybe like a granddaughter's bedroom. However, I was only able to fit one bed when I was done with it, and it wasn't even a double bed. It ends up being a single bed. So I end up changing the theme towards the end, and I think it works out perfectly because I had a couple of empty spaces in the house as well that I wasn't sure what to do with because they were too small to fit tables and everything, but too big to leave empty. So I end up being able to throw some of the writer's clutter around, and I think it works out so great. Here you see me, I'm gonna pull out some of the columns. I messed around with these for a little bit because I wanted them to be equal distant from each other because it just looks nicer that way. But I decided in the end that I could put the door in between the two closer pieces and then leave the other ones a bit farther apart, and it would make sense because they were like framing the door. And then I sit here for a while and mess with the roof because I was trying to make it so that the front piece didn't have to be taller than the side piece in order to keep them from clipping, and I think I end up figuring it out pretty well. And then I just go through, put in the rest of the columns, and then I think I add the cats and dog fence because I liked how the all white looked, and the island living fence, the whites didn't match. It was more of a cream with the blue, so I decided to stick with the cats and dogs. Here I'm zooming out so I can take a look at the rocks around the island. I really like to do that, and you'll see me do it in a couple of my builds. I just zoom out and see real quick like the colors and the plants that are around so I can put those on the outskirts of my lots so they look like they fit in with the world. And then here I'm going to go in and pick out the blue. I knew going into this I was going to use this blue because it matched the picture perfectly. However, I don't end up using red accents like the picture does. The door I chose, I really liked how it looked with the house, and it didn't come in a red, at least not one that I liked. So I decided to stick with just blue and white, and I think it looks beautiful. It looks a bit cleaner. And then there I was trying to see if I could pick out like a roof decoration to make it look less bare because none of the windows looked quite right. But I decided just to leave it in the end, and I think it looks okay. And then here you'll see me pull out that Sulani door. And like I said, the red, it's a really bright red and it only comes on warm wood tones, and since the rest of the house was white, I didn't want to introduce any of the warm wood tones too harshly. However, you will see them on these fish hangings that I have here, but I figured we could almost pretend that those were metal, and so it wouldn't really matter. And then here I'm going through and adding in all of the island living windows. I always face these windows into each other so it looks like the longer version that we have. Because I don't like it when the shutter ends are a mixed match. It's something weird that I have. I don't like it when the shutter ends are on the same side because then it doesn't look quite right on the build. And here I'm adding in the terrain paint to plan out where I'm going to put some flowers towards the end. And then I build a little path going towards the back door area. When I was initially thinking this was an elderly couple, I thought that they would have their friends over, so I wanted them to have a nice little barbecue pit, but I think it still works with it being a writer because they only have a small kitchen, so I figured if they ever did want to entertain, they would need to move everything outside in order for everything to fit. And then here you see me going into the debug for a little bit, but a lot of the plants are just from the gardening menu, and I go in and I just pull them out so that they match the surrounding plants. And I grabbed that palm tree, and then I end up placing another smaller version. I do believe that one's from the debug menu right in front of the house, so it looks like the picture. I was contemplating cutting out some of the landscaping, but I really enjoy watching landscaping during the speed builds, so I decided since the video was not that long, it'd be okay keeping it in. I hope you guys don't mind. And here you see I pull out those orange flowers, and I was initially going to stick to debug island living only plants, but I end up going into the gardening menu later on and pulling out some of the other orange plants we got with Jungle Adventure and Base Game, I believe, because I really like the idea of having like those orange plants as pops of color in the front of the house. And then you see there I pulled out the debug mailboxes that we got and the debug fishing lines that we have from the game. I really enjoy those objects. I wish that they had come in the regular build and buy mode, but I can see why they didn't because there's no real purpose for them in the game. It's not like you can actually string your fish up there. And here you'll see this is where I start going into the gardening menu to pull out those other orange and red toned plants. I thought that they matched the ones that we got from Island Living, these purple ones I placed, but in the red tone, and I put those on the front of the building, so I thought it would bring the colors around out to the side. And I do end up raising the foundation of the house towards the end, so I do go back in and move some of these plants around a little bit, but that's just because when I rose the house up, particularly that tree off to the side, like right now it's not clipping into the fence, it's just the leaf is hanging over the side of it, but when I raise up the foundation it does look like it's clipping in, so I have to move some of these plants around a little bit after I end up doing that, which is one of the things that I hate about having to do the foundation last. But if you put the foundation in first, it raises up your plants if you move them too close to the house, and then they just look too far away. And here I was doing a little bit of side landscaping. I didn't put any terrain paint under these, but I thought it looked really cool having the grass just kind of wildly growing. And then this is where I built that little outdoor seating area I was talking about. I gave them 2 stools because, again, it was supposed to be for an elderly couple. And then just hang that fish rack up there, and then 2 lights so that when it's darker out, they can still see what they're doing. And then again, I just go into the debug menu and pull out some of these really lush green plants. I love these plants. I wish that they came almost like a version for the other worlds because I do think they're a little too green to go into some of the like the base game worlds like Willow Creek and everything, but I think they look beautiful here. Here I'm just creating a little outdoor seating area with stuff from the Perfect Patio pack. I end up adding an outdoor light here, and then I also, for decoration on that table, use the candle that we got with the Island Living pack with the flowers wrapped around it. And then when we were moving over here, I was contemplating putting that plant over in the corner, but I thought it would look like too much with the fact that we have the tree in the front yard. So then I went into the Island Living stuff and I was trying to find a clutter item to do there, and I just couldn't find one that I really liked. So I ended up pulling out those Jungle Adventure jars that we got, the statue item, and I sized them down a couple of times and then I placed them in the corner. And then over here I get a chess table. I try to add chess tables to all of my builds even if like the theme doesn't match, but I think that they're a cool item and they raise up the Sims fun, and there wasn't a lot of stuff to do in this house, so I thought that it would be a nice item to add. And then here I decided someone was going to play the guitar. I didn't know who it was going to be, like which member of the couple or which family member, but I thought it was a cute little piece to put back there, and thought when they were doing their barbecues they could sit and play the guitar and just have a little bit of fun. And you saw me move a couple of the plants there as I pick up the foundation. I do go back and move that other tree as I said I do because you can see right now that it's clipping into the side. After I fix this tree, we're going to go around to the back and we're going to put some plants around this other tree that I placed. I totally forgot that I placed this tree when I pulled it out of the menu, and I almost forgot to go place more plants around it, but I'm really glad that I saw it before we moved on to the inside so I could make it look less awkward just sitting in the back. And now we're going into the inside. So I do apologize, I forgot because of how much light is in the Sulani world, and I had all these windows in the build. I totally forgot to put a light actually inside of the room while I was building in it. But I think because of the windows, you have enough light to see what I'm doing, but I do apologize if it's a little dark. And here I'm building the kitchen area. This is when I start to realize that this house is a little smaller than it probably should be because I can't get much in the kitchen. So I don't add a lot of clutter on them, but I do give them a feature wall. I don't leave it as this one though. I use one of the walls from Spa Day just because I thought it looked less harsh against the waves and the grain on the white walls that I chose to use. And then I add a couple of the fish decorations from the Sulani pack, and then I think that that's it. Oh no, cards. Oh, and then I also put we got this thing with the outdoor retreat pack. I'm not 100% sure what it actually is. I think it's just dried food, but it looks like cereal boxes, and I always keep my cereal boxes on top of the refrigerator in my kitchen. So I thought that that was a cute little thing to add since there wasn't a lot of spaces on the counters. And then I considered adding a little island here, but when I go to make the living room, it ends up not working, so I delete them and then try and lay out how I want this living room to work. Because this house was so small, I had such an issue getting everything to fit. I think it looks okay the way I end up doing it. I end up getting, I believe it's a love seat in here, and I was really trying to use all of the island living stuff because we were here on Sulani, but I believe I end up using the couch from the base game update we got, the Caribbean update, because that love seat, A, is gorgeous, and B, it fits in perfectly with the Sulani theme, so I do believe I end up using that one instead. Yeah, it comes in the white and blue tone, which I thought matched the outside of the house perfectly. And then there you saw me pull out the conch shell that we got in the debug menu, and I'm just cluttering up the coffee table a little bit. I tried to put enough clutter in this house so that it looked like it had been lived in, but I also wanted it to be functional since it was so small. And then this is where I realized I didn't have any lights, so I put one where I was building currently, and then I add one upstairs before I forget to put another one. And then I wanted to use these pictures from the debug menu because I do think that they're a really cool object, but I just didn't have a place to put them because I put so many windows on the walls, which I think works. If I lived in an island like this, I would definitely have windows everywhere to get the breeze, so I don't always end up having enough room for enough wall decorations, but I think it's okay. And then here, this is one of those corners I was having an issue decorating. I decided that a picnic basket would work because I figured here in Sulani you would eat outside a lot, so I thought maybe you'd have some picnic baskets around so you could bring your food outside. And then I add that journal there. At this time, I thought maybe like the grandmother or the grandfather was writing letters to their grandchildren, but in the end it ends up working for the whole writer aesthetic too. And then here you see me again trying to add some of these wall decorations from Sulani, and I do get a couple up, which I'm really happy about, but not as many as I had originally intended. And then this is where I really start to realize how small this house is. You saw me build a wall there. I was going to attempt to build a larger bedroom, but it just could not fit. And then so I built the bathroom over there, and then I'm trying to figure out the best place to put the desk that I wanted to give them, and then the bed. And when I realized I could only fit a small bed, that's when I decided to give them the laptop that you see there. Because initially I was just going to give them a bookshelf, and I was going to have them kind of like live off the grid and not really use a whole bunch of technology, not really be connected. But when I realized that I had to leave one sim here, I realized I wanted this to be for a writer since I put that book downstairs, so that's why I decided to give them the laptop. And then here you see me picking out a couple of different clutter objects. I got the sunscreen bottle, which I think is a really cute item, and then some of the jars from the pack as well. And this is where you see me try and really push the writer theme. I put books on almost every single object just to make it look like there was definitely someone who came into this house, that they read a lot, they write all their books, and I thought maybe even some of the books could be their old like copies of them, or maybe like prequels and stuff for the books they were trying to write now. And then here I just pull out that side table. I believe that one's from Jungle Adventure. And then I'm going through the debug menu to pull out some clutter items from there. I grab a coffee cup. I'm not sure if that one spoils or not. I know that some of them do, some of them don't from watching SimLissy videos, but I'm not 100% sure on which ones do and don't. So I do apologize. And then I also grabbed some bills. I thought maybe they received like fan letters, and then I end up putting a notebook and a pencil on here as well. And here I'm just messing with them, trying to get them to fit on the table without it looking like they're falling off or not on the table properly. And then I go through and add flooring, and I forgot I didn't put any flooring on the basement, so I end up putting those in as well. And then here I try to give them a regular sized bookcase because they are a writer, but it couldn't fit on the wall, and the 9 key wasn't working with that object, so I decided that they just would have that little one off on the side. And then I do give them the clutter item from Cats and Dogs, where it's like the suitcase. You see me pull it out right here. It's the suitcase with all the books on top as though they were like spilling out of the suitcase. I put that downstairs, like tucked away under the stairs, and I thought that that was kind of cute. Like they wanted to bring all their books with them on vacation, but they don't have anywhere to store them, so they keep them all in the suitcase. And they just see me place that under the stairs. And then I go back up and I start working on the bathroom. Now, I could not get a shower in this bathroom for the, like, I tried so hard. I first was going to do a bath, and then the bath couldn't fit. It was too wide. I didn't think the sim could get to the sink. So then I was like, I can do the shower, and then the shower, you had to have an area to step, and then I thought it was still a little too wide. So I do end up putting the shower downstairs outside, and I create this little like outdoor shower nook that I think looks really cute. But by all means, if you do not like the idea of having a shower out back, then when you download this house, you can always just get rid of the desk or make it a smaller desk and extend the bathroom back by one piece, and then it'll definitely fit. But I do end up liking how it looks. I give them privacy by using those curtain dividers that we have from Sulani, and I think it ends up just being this cute little area out back. But besides that, we are coming up on the screenshot, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. Stick around for the next one and have a great day. Bye! Thank you.